Hello, it's Jeff.
No, don't push the button.
It was blinking.
Okay.
Hi,
Now you're good.
good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 out of 3. I just texted Hanif, but
Well, it took me, I had to punch in the meeting number at least 10 times.
Oh boy. So I was having issues on a Zoom the other day. I know Rebecca had issues yesterday. I don't know if
it's
they
like a
changed.
Zoom issue.
Well, I don't,
Oh, oh.
I'm speculating, but
Okay.
I don't know
Right.
if maybe there's some issues.
Yeah, it kept asking me to punch in my meeting number. I must have punched it in 10 times before it worked.
Wow. Is there a passcode for this meeting?
There is.
I put, there is a passcode, yeah.
Wonder if we
Here's
should.
me.
Here's Hanif.
It could be like Zoom servers
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
That sounds like it would be more. Just
Right.
me. I mean, if the password, if it worked eventually, it's
Right.
Yeah, eventually it let me in.
Huh. Well, we're glad you're here.
Good morning.
Hi, Hanif.
How you doing?
You have everybody's here, Jeff. You are the committee chair.
Oh, that's right. I always forget. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. With the agenda. So, I'll call the meeting to order and review the minutes of March 2nd. Does anybody have any corrections or questions on the minutes of March 7th or March 2nd?
Nope.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
I'll second.
And a vote, please. I'll say aye.
Aye.
Any nays amongst us? Thank you. And thank you for writing them up so well. Since if I remember correctly, I was in a backseat of a car while we did that meeting. So appreciate it. Next, review of the proposed operating budget. So who wants to start?
Here's your stuff.
Oh, thank you. I can kick it off and then pass it over to Greg. We had a conversation yesterday about this. Really excellent work. One kind of undercurrent, what theme of our conversation was that while, you know, as executive director, one objective of mine has been, you know, why couldn't we pass a balanced budget? And, you know, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and it's because the way that the organization is structured, you know, with unpredictable revenue flows and a very strong mission focused on supporting the local economy, shoring up economic prosperity and growth, you know, we tend to be program heavy, whereby we can't really predict our inflows of revenue. So I don't think it should be an objective of mine as executive director to want to balance the books, so to speak, or make that my number one priority, although that would be a good goal. So that being said, this spending plan it doesn't reflect a balanced budget, but we are in a strong financial condition. This budget bakes into it several existing programs, some newer than others, anticipates and budgets for unexpected programs that might come our way in the coming year. Some familiar programs include, you know, economic gardening, the CDL program, the GRATES. Notably, the GRATES we capped this past year at 2 per company, so you can't have 2 GRATES out at any given time. The retain program that this board passed as a pilot this past year has yet to be launched, and we're hoping that we'll be able to launch that in the coming year. So that's budgeted at $100,000. And I'll also be talking maybe further into the conversation about the Women's Business Center concept, which we were expecting to hear back from the Small Business Administration last week ahead of October 1st as to whether or not MCIDC received the $500,000 grant from the SBA to host a women's business center. However, I heard back from them on Friday that they were still in the review process. So we are playing a waiting game with the SBA on the Women's Business Center. And our team has come up with some thoughts around what might we be able to accomplish in the, knock on wood, unlikely event that we don't get the grant, because I think an important conversation for the coming year will be, how can MCIDC really shore up its support for small businesses, retail businesses, entities that have been hardest hit by what the pandemic really laid bare, a lot of inequities. So that's a thought. And then the county, this administration has a lot of priorities regarding MWBEs, diversity, equity, and inclusion, et cetera. And then I'll just close before I kick it off to Greg. I'll close by saying we're grateful to the administration for making CARES Act funds available to make MCIDC whole for the 0% interest emergency small business loan that we administered last year. I want to commend the team under Lydia's leadership for their work to get those loans out the door, work to convert them into grants, and now they're focused on administering a second round of Fast Forward Monroe grants with CARES Act funds. So by the time all is said and done, we will have pushed out something to the tune of, almost $40 million into the local community, which is just astronomical, never before been seen, in Monroe County government. So super impressive. And then also, Greg will probably touch on this, but Comida we're not going to be moving the $1 million that Comida contributed to MCIDC for that loan program back over to Comida. We're keeping that $1 million in MCIDC's accounts for ongoing program administration, including, we hope, the launch of a women's business center. So with that, I will pass it over to Greg, our CFO.
Thank you, Anna. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, Greg.
Okay, good. Sorry, got headsets and things not working this morning. So, okay, like Anna said, I know we've talked about trying to get more of a balanced budget. I think there's just a little uncertainty. I think eventually long term, we're going to have to commit to doing, things differently, right? Can't continue to, budget, in excess of this, although we have significant cash reserves. I think once we are in more of a little bit more certain environment, a more strategic look at the long term of the IDC will be kind of laid out a little bit more clearly. So go through the budget at a very high level on certain things. Certainly, ask questions on some of these items here. So again, revenues, really the 504 revenue, it's pretty consistent. It's not growing at much of a great rate. It is what it is. And again, so we're projecting, $200,000 for, the next year, which is, pretty consistent around that level for the past 3 years or so. In terms of the grades and the programs, I mean, this has slowed down. You can see we had a big uptick last year in the grades and programs and people applying and everything else, and it's slowed down this year. That's a hard one to predict. We kind of looked at, hey, although we're down a little bit this year, we're historically we've been around $400,000 to $500,000. So that's what we have in the budget this year, for, consistently what we had for last year. The economic development, expenses, like I said, some things have been committed. The CDL license program is going to, kick back up here. That's been a hot topic lately with the bus driver shortage. Economic gardening, I think we've already committed to for that number. Same with the BOCES program. I think there's 2 programs that amount to about $20,000 each. We no longer are doing the PTAC program, and that's being handled by Comida. And then as Anna mentioned, the 165 is related to the cost that we have estimated. If we don't get the grant, the SBA grant, that would be the cost that we would look to fund the program on its own, is the $165,000. So we've built that in there. And then the $265,000, like Anna said, 100,000 of that is, the retained program. And then, there's a remaining about $165,000 left in there for potentially future programs that we want to support.
So, question there, Greg. So year to date, we don't have anything in there, even though we budgeted last year. So does that 265 really double in the future, or is this just the same 265 that we, as of through August, had not spent? I was a little confused on that.
Yeah, we haven't spent it, right? And that's why you'll see.
Right.
And it's a good point, Jeff, because as everyone knows, right? Budgets are hard, projections are hard. Things happen, some things don't happen. And again, because we're in such an uncertain time, that's just been further exasperated, right? And like you can see, we have budgeted for things and we just haven't spent the money, right? So we're not just spending money because, maybe in the, again, just because we have something budgeted and we're not going to do that specific program, we're not just spending the money. That's why you'll see our loss this year, right, or our excess expenses over revenue is way better than what we have budgeted, right?
Yep.
So again, it's not in addition to the 265 that we budget. It's like, okay, guys, we budgeted this last year. Yeah, okay, it really didn't start and kick off. It's not 265 plus 265. It's kind of just rolling that forward.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, but I wasn't quite sure, so I just wanted to verify that. Yeah. Because there's a lot of empty. You're absolutely right. There's a lot that we have not spent that we had budgeted for.
Yeah, good question.
Okay.
And again, payroll, same thing. Again, pretty consistent. I think that does include one additional employee for 2022, and that's where that increase will come in.
I actually can't even see the budget. I mean, the print is so small.
I know.
So I'm just going on what you're saying, Greg, in terms of
You can look at it.
the changes and where we're at and what we're eliminating here. So I guess my question is that what is the total budget for the year?
Total projected budget is a deficit of 1.283710, almost $1.3 million.
Okay.
Compared to 1.205 this year, well, that we budgeted for this year, Hanif.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up almost 80,000 from last year's deficit budget.
Okay.
Right. Again, budget, there's certain things that we want to support. And again, there's certain uncertainty. I don't want it to sound like, just because we have it budgeted, we're going to spend it, right? I think that's pretty apparent in what we're doing. If there's something that we have budgeted for, we'll look to do that. But again, if it doesn't happen, we're not just taking those dollars and spending it. And like I said, that's where you'll see the significant, underspending of where we are through August of 2021 to our budget, of 1.2 million. We had budget.
Yeah, if you annualize through the end of the year, I mean, our deficit will be 525,000. I mean, and I know that's simple. That's not actually how it's going to play out. But if you just did that based on the current numbers through the end of August, our deficit would be, we budgeted for $1.2 million, and it's going to be 525 if you just do that to play with the numbers.
Exactly. Accounting and auditing fees, I think there may be a little typo in there, Allison. Or Robin on the financial services, I think, unless that includes some compliance fees.
Where? Accounting fees says 1,950. It says $2,000.
No. The financial services line is is higher than I thought we had changed that.
Oh.
So we may have a little bit change. That's probably going to be about $10,000 less.
Why are we budgeting for a decrease in audit fees?
Decrease in what?
A decrease in audit fees? Or actually, why were the audit fees, why did we budget so low? Why was the 2021 budget so low? It's just.
I think that may be, Chris, I think that may be combined with the 64.
Oh, okay. Then
I
that
think
makes more sense.
Yeah. Because again, the financial, again, financial services fees a lot less than that. So
right.
I think we just moved it up in the budget this year and didn't take it out of the 64. So that 64, that's budgeting should be more like 54.
Okay, that would make more sense.
Yeah. In terms of our other administrative fees here, I mean, everything's pretty consistent at, for in terms of overhead and things that we have to do. And again, some of these things are they're estimates, they're budgets, right? If we don't spend them, we're not just going to spend because we have it in the budget. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions there. There's really not much that's new except the consulting fees, which may be compliance and monitoring fees, potentially. I think that's the work site monitoring fees, maybe from a local grill organization or something to that effect. So again, I overall, it's not much of a change from last year, but I think the point is, like I said, we're trying to move the needle, not just continue to spend because we have the budget. I think we've done a good job of that. So right now, we're been pretty, like I said, consistent in our process of the programs and things like that. And again, it's a budget to what we know today. And, as in this environment, it could be quite, volatile either way. And so we're proposing a 1.283 deficit for 2022.
And the community outreach piece, which is that and the CDL, are probably the biggest change in expenses from last year's budget. Am I eyeballing that correctly, or just looking at that correctly?
Yeah. And again, remember that 165, right? If we get the grant from the SBA, that changes, right? Yeah. That
changes that, right?
For sure. Yeah. And again, even the grades, right? Those are big. Those could swing the budget, pretty consistent or pretty big if because even the grades, what are they trending at? Again, 350 versus 467.
Yeah.
Right, Jeff. And again, that's just a hard one to predict. If people, aren't getting into the program for whatever reason and applying and doing all those different things, it's going to be less. And so you start chunking things down, and all of a sudden, we may be at a, again, like we are this year, maybe the number is closer to $500,000 than it is close to $1 million.
What do we have budgeted for a CDL license program?
90,000.
We doubled it. Yeah, we doubled it from 45 last year, Hanif, to 90.
Okay, all right. And that's good. And the outreach, we're still waiting on the match from
The SBA.
SBA. Okay. And more than likely, we're gonna get that, right? We got a strong proposal.
Yes.
I don't see Lydia and Anna putting their fingers up or anything like that, thumbs up or anything like that. So we must not be too sure about that.
No, I don't think the Women's Business Center, we're
Oh.
confident.
We're very confident.
Okay.
I think I'm only speculating here, but I think because of all of the other nonsense that's going on in our nation's capital right now, there are some uncertainties at the SBA as well. Their fiscal year just started October 1, so perhaps they're off to a shaky start in terms of just management. I've been assured that they're still reviewing. So, and we haven't heard, we know for sure that at least only one other organization in the community has applied for the grant, Pathstone. And there's not been any release as to the SBA's determination on what organization in Rochester will be receiving the grant, nor that they've changed their plans. So we are
Yeah, I believe that. What I'm trying to say though, in terms of the budget, is that when we try to get this budget passed with the whole board, we should try to highlight some of the important programs that are in here, and that our contribution to them is very imperative and very important for us.
yes.
So I was just
Yeah.
trying to pull those things out because to run a deficit, there's got to be a reason to
Right.
do that, and the rationale would be that in the long run, this is going to help the community. So
Right. Yes, we have a triple bottom line.
yeah, just a narrative that I think that we all should adopt.
You're right. Thanks, Hanif.
And I think, it was easy for me to point those two, is the big difference from last year's budget is those two. So I think, Anna, when you go, you probably should spend a little bit of time on why those are important to us.
Yeah,
And
a box of Kleenex, some tears, and I think that
A violin.
yes, we should be able to grasp what we're trying to do as a corporation, which I think is admirable, and based upon coming out of the pandemic to assist to make the community whole. These things, we're going to have more proposals that are going to come to us as such, and we need to try to really look and consider those things if it's a way that we can use our resources to make these opportunities happen.
That's a great suggestion. I'll prepare some remarks ahead of next Tuesday, and I'll be prepared to address that in detail.
Other than that, for me, the budget looks good.
Agreed.
Chris,
real good job.
Chris, no more questions, Chris? You're good?
No, I mean, the ones that we talked about were the things I had highlighted in advance, so.
Like, once again, I can't even see the budget, you know, I don't know. I've got a magnifying glass here.
You're doing a heck of a job without seeing it, Hanif. I'll tell you.
I'm trying to, it's a tough read.
Well, can I get a motion to approve? I need a motion to approve that it be presented at the board meeting. Is that the motion I'm looking for, guys?
Yeah, motion to recommend that the full board adopt the budget as presented.
Yes,
I'll move that.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go. I cannot make it next Wednesday. I have a family member having surgery. So unless they fail their COVID test on Monday. So I will not be there to assist. So I apologize for that. But I'm sure that it will get passed and there won't be any issues.
Are we on next Wednesday? What happened to Tuesday? Is it, we're not doing Tuesdays anymore?
I think
So, yeah,
That's a
traditionally,
holiday.
because there's a holiday on Monday. So traditionally, you guys have always, you know, when there's a holiday on a Monday, you don't go on the next day, you go on Wednesday.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Is that all right? Is that gonna work for you, honey?
I guess I can make it work for me, but I usually have something standing on a Wednesday. But we'll see what we can do. I'll make sure. we're in
Any
at
other
least for the
business?
First part of the meeting.
Okay. Any other business for this committee?
No?
With I hear nothing, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second.
All righty, then we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
All righty.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Next week.
Eh.
All right.
Have a good rest of the day.
You too.
Okay.